All right, I don't want to get too much into the weeds with this next clip, but here is Dave Rubin.
Okay.
Nice little palate cleanser.
Exactly. He is interviewing Maxime Bernier, who is a Quebecian.
Gary Johnson.
That's French for Max Boot.
That's right. Yeah,
He's Quebecois Gary Johnson.
Yeah. Okay. So who, I don't know. I watched some videos of him. He's if the Proud Boys are up in Canada, he's spoken to them. He's that type of guy, right?
Oh,
I'm speaking.
You mean like he's not funny?
But I'm not speaking literally. But he's been dancing around stuff like this, and so here he is on Dave Rubin's show. And Dave Rubin, it's been tough for him lately. He's dabbling. He's becoming anti-abortion curious, so he's going through a transformation right now because he's starting to realize maybe it's not even worth it for me to pretend anymore.
We have our sovereignty as a country, and we must be able to select our immigrants. And so that's coming from the UN. So yes, you're right. I don't like the UN. I think that they're not so efficient. And I'm clear about that.
Yeah, do you guys have a strain, we're seeing in Europe now where there's nationalist parties, that there does seem to be a strain of sort of ethno-nationalism or something that has a different racial connotation to it. Do you guys have a strain of that in Canada? Because it seems to me that I think what's happening, and we're starting to see it here, is that if the good liberals and the good libertarians and the people who just want to live and let live, if they don't start making some advances against this radical leftism that's moving, there's going to be a lot of people that break in a bad way.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, I wouldn't be able to blame them.
Yeah.
And I say that as someone that has no racism in my heart.
Yeah.
But they would be left with no alternative as they watch their country crumble. Do you have any of that in Canada?
No, we don't, and it's a good news. But at the end, that's why we must have this discussion.
Yeah.
And I don't fear to have this discussion.
Now, for those of you who are not watching, you're just listening. Sam Harris is naked, and they're licking his body. He's lying on the coffee table, and they're licking his body.
I just want to say I've always liked the Rubin Report set because it's like a poly guy's living room. a single basketball in a glass cubby.
Yeah,
you picture him, and he's about to pull out a Go set and care for a game of the ancient Oriental.
But I mean, this is I don't even know. Dave Rubin here is basically saying that the SJWs are forcing us to have to be ethno-nationalist in this country, I guess.
Yep.
And if we don't have the conversation, of course, it'll get worse.
Also, in a weird way, he can't blame them if they do that.
Yeah, he can't. I mean, he doesn't have any racism in his heart, but he can't blame them because they have no choice but to become white ethno-nationalists. There's no other choice.
This is like the soft bigotry of low expectations that is now starting to I can think of personally a bunch of sort of
different choices.
I wouldn't say they're
make.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Different choices you might make.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was like, I could literally, sort of centrist, middle-aged, crotchety white guys who are annoyed by dumb SJW, whatever, and they've managed. They're like
you just talked
they have
about
not
sports.
embraced white nationalism as the path of least resistance to their minor irritations about internet controversies that don't matter or whatever it is that they nobody went and said Dave Rubin was Family Guy's not doing gay jokes anymore. I'm going to need to join the National Front.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no choice.
But it's also ironic because if anything is fueling the fires of reaction worldwide, it's this neoliberal status quo that cannot continue. It's not radical leftism.
Maybe, but I still think that those folks have a different option.
I'm not talking about individual psychology. I'm talking about world systems.
Yeah, Dave seems to be talking about the individual psychology.
I'm talking
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I'm talking about Emmanuel Wallerstein, World Systems Theory.
Yeah,
I
even
saw
if
that in Wikipedia.
but I don't even think that
He was an SJW.
I mean, I don't think that turning towards a white supremacy as an option is necessarily systemic. This system is already set up that way.
No, I'm talking about it on a totally different level than him.
Oh well, yes.
I should hope so.
I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything.
The answer I just think though what's interesting is like, okay, there's the abortion move in the last couple of days, and now there's this. I feel like, and they're going to launch their own alternative platform, and I feel like the abortion thing makes me think there's some type of partnership with Glenn Beck in the works, but that also is like there, and then but that also, I feel like that Levin and Beck, maybe you're going to see like, they might be letting go of the like, MLK was a great guy. That's what I'm talking about. They might have to make their own transition to like, I did some research. That guy's actually a fucking communist.
It's not inconceivable, but I mean, look, they have no choice, and they have no other choice because
that's what what's her name, Ayaan Hirsi Ali also said about Anders Breivik.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali literally said in 2011, I believe, that Anders Breivik, this is already way out of, but who went and committed some of the greatest atrocities in our modern era, right? He shot like 50 kids point blank
after bombing a city center
after
to draw the emergency.
To draw emergency there, right? And his closing statement in his trial, and this isn't polemical. It reads like a Breitbart column. I mean, just objectively. And so, and Ayaan Hirsi Ali's big contribution to that conversation was like, well, I understand because Muslims.
And the SJW, basically the SJWs won't let us talk about Muslims.
Right, you couldn't say what he needed to say in Norway, so he needed to leave his mom's house and commit mass murder.
Well, I'm sorry that Rubin is struggling so much with this. That's all I want to say. Is that
well, if he was willing to talk to us, maybe we could educate him.
Well, it's funny that you say that, Jamie, because and look. This can get very juvenile. Stuff like this.
Oh boy.
Stuff. This is a little bit juvenile. All right. Apparently somebody set up a GoFundMe to create a billboard to mock Dave Rubin that he will not debate me, and it's going to go up in L.A. Apparently, they only needed $1,000. They dropped the amount that they did, and they're just going to leave it up there. It's going to be on a digital billboard for an extended period of time. And I think that comes in there's 6 updates. Now, of course, this is juvenile. It's also juvenile to say, hey, let's look at this clip from TYT the other night that where they said, just almost randomly this came up. That's also juvenile. And let me show you how juvenile. It's like this juvenile. Yeah, exactly.
To some degree, I have, and it's hard some days, but some degree of sympathy for Dave Rubin.
No, 0.
Yes,
because
Anna.
Look,
he knows.
But that's the thing. He knows. Do you see what I'm saying? Like he knows he's sold out, and so like I feel like Ben Shapiro sleeps perfectly fine at night. He's like, oh, I'm doing a great thing. This is wonderful. I'm ideologically because I said, right. Whereas like Dave Rubin, he knows.
Like he keeps denying that he's a fraud. But like everyone knows, people who watch your show and pretend like they like it, they know you're a fraud. You know, like the fact that he's so scared to have a conversation with Sam Seder. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love watching it. Someone paid $100 in YouTube Super Chat, right? To ask Dave Rubin about Sam Seder, like why won't you debate him? And he purposely phrased the question to make it seem as though he's on Dave Rubin's side, like calling Sam Seder an SJW. And so he's reading this comment out live. And then once he starts realizing that this is a question about debating Sam Seder, he went, don't worry about those guys. Don't worry about those. Like he's so afraid.
Precious. So by the way, if you guys are new and you don't know, Dave used to work here. and then he went and like became a right winger, pretending to be a classic liberal, whatever the fuck that means, right? Paid, by to some degree, large degree, by the Koch brothers foundations, etc. And it's a little revolting to look at. And we know for a fact that he goes and lies about his time here, right?
Yeah.
Why he left and what his experience was. We're like, what the fuck? That's not what happened at all, right?
Yeah.
But since we know for a fact that he knows that he's lying, that's what makes me think he's probably has a little trouble sleeping at night. But maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I sleep like a baby. I have no conscience or intellect. I think it works.
Now, obviously, that type of stuff is really immature and beneath us. But
I love being immature with Anna and talking about Dave Rubin. We do that every single time we do a segment together.
Well,
The
I mean,
guy
it's
is an
interesting. I
endless
mean,
source of
but the
immaturity.
serious point about it is, of course, that it's very hard for Dave, I would imagine, to maintain his core brand proposition of being someone who wants to expand the playing field for conversations and welcomes, people who are from the alt-right and people who deny things like date rape onto his show. But he won't have someone on who will challenge some of his assertions about liberalism and whatnot. And so that's very difficult for Dave. And so he has to transition to other things. And so in that way, I want to say I'm sincerely sympathetic, because it would be very, very difficult, I think, to try and change your brand midstream in front of tens of thousands of people.
Are you saying that Dave is going to become a white nationalist so he doesn't have to debate you?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that he's going to probably have to find something new, because who could possibly believe his whole branding of this, of being intellectually curious under these circumstances? Honestly, like, they're not going to be, I'm sure that Barry Weiss, who was that New York Times writer who wrote about it, I'm sure now she regrets on some level that she was so hoodwinked by this, right? So that's all I'm saying.
Who's really getting hoodwinked by Dave Rubin?
I imagine she must have been, because
she must have been. She's a golden retriever.
Well, I mean, look, a lot of people like golden retrievers. I had a